All right, okay, so see a couple of familiar faces in the room. Some of you I've not met before. My name is Payne, and I'm a senior technical consultant for this organisation. I work alongside Alex and some of the salespeople at the back. And I work across vendor. One of the things that I've had a lot of experience doing lately is producing these types of presentations. And if you haven't been to any of these partner events before, what we pretty much do is we take a subject, so those that are most prominent in our industry, cybercrime being one. We produce one on IT governance. We also produced one on the changes to the Data Protection Act and what's coming up in the legislation. And we take it online, we get some industry experts, we talk about it for maybe about 50 minutes, we get some polls on the line, we show some presentations, we run through scenarios, and hopefully what we're trying to do here is to educate the channel, get some information about the changes taking place in the industry. Now, we actually produced a webinar probably about 3 weeks ago now on this particular subject. It's available on YouTube, it's on our website too, so if you want to go have a look at it, please do. But this presentation here is a recap essentially, so if you've missed it, I'm going to be recapping what we had on that today. So on the call we had myself, obviously the lesser of the important people. We had Ken Munro. Ken Munro, if you were at InfoSec this year, had a lot of media attention around him. He was being filmed by BBC News. He was showing how you can hack into a wireless kettle. That's quite funny, but obviously the bigger point there is the Internet of Things are changing, there's more and more stuff online, vulnerabilities are introduced. This is kind of looking at the more comical edge of that. So we had him on the line. He works for a pen testing organisation, so had a lot of, technical experience, a lot to contribute in terms of his technical knowledge, what he's seen out there after 15 years of working in the industry. And we also had Amar Singh. If you come to our VSEC event later in the year, Amar Singh's actually going to be there. He's a great speaker. And Amar has, I even said this on the call, Amar has some incredible accolades, which I really struggled to fit into 3 lines. One of the ones that I think is quite interesting is the cybersecurity challenge. And if you haven't seen that, it's a challenge essentially out there for the youth to demonstrate their skills and to try and get them on board in the good cyberspace as opposed to the bad cyberspace. So we had these 3 on the call. And what we did was we had an agenda, of course, but we took, in order to kind of highlight what we were talking about, we took a scenario. So, and I'm going to follow this scenario as well in my presentation today. So we have a small travel agent, Faria, they're known as, and they have a customer that's upset with them for any particular reason, wanted a refund, wasn't happy with the service, whatever it is, and they've now received email-based threats to say, I'm not happy with you, I'm going to start to take down your websites, I'm going to start to cause you disruption. So this is a small to mid-sized company. This tends to be a sweet spot for a lot of our resellers in terms of their customer base. This is a genuine threat, by the way. I've got some statistics later on to show you that cybercrime in the UK is rocketing, absolutely rocketing. And I guess I'm kind of giving away one of the slides later on, but 300,000 additional cybercrime offences in 1 year. That's huge, that's massive. So in our particular scenario, we've got a company, they host a couple of web-based services, very normal stuff, VPN, remote working, so this is just standard stuff. So the first thing is, we've got that guy who's a little bit irritated. Who is he? Who are these guys? It's usually not that. If you Google cybercriminal, that's what you get. Or you're used to the idea of the Hollywood version, which is the disgruntled teenager in the basement. That's not what it is, and we all know that. So who are they? Hacktivists, we're used to that word now. We've seen a lot of that. Alex mentioned ISIS and anybody that's a sympathiser to that particular cause. You see the guys wearing Guy Fawkes masks, anonymous, people like that. Hacktivism's quite popular now. Government organisations, again, Alex mentioned that. Things like the North Korean attack on Sony Pictures when the movie was about to be released. Changed a lot of things, we start to see government versus government style attacking. The battlefield's changing essentially. Competitors, we see this a lot actually, strangely. You see one way for one company to annoy another or to take down their service for a while is, well, I'll just take off your website and then your customer's going to go and look for somebody else that sells the same service. I'm still up. Hand to hire, we'll come into that. Disgruntled employees. Ashley Madison case. There was a lot of indication in that particular case that there was an inside actor. And we find, and we even confirmed this on the call when we were speaking to Amar and Ken, one of the biggest spaces for attacks now are internal actors because a lot of effort's being put on protecting the boundary. That's no longer the weakness. The weakness is everything inside that you've forgotten about. You've closed the door on the outside of the castle, but you've forgot about everything that's inside. Who have you already let in? It's that classic Trojan horse case. So this is something that's particularly pertinent at the moment. So in our particular scenario, we just got a disgruntled guy, he's a customer, and he has no experience. He doesn't know what he's doing, so he needs to go and find help. Now, I did a bit of research for this particular topic on if I was that person, what would I go and do? And anybody that pays attention to the media, you'll hear a lot about dark web. Dark web is this place where you can buy anything you can imagine in the world. What is it? So if anybody in the room is not aware of what dark web is, just a little bit of an explanation. We'll start with what the regular web is. Internet server with a website on it, user wants to get to it, goes through the internet, ends up on the server, and you get your Amazon page, something like that. Right? Normal stuff. Dark web is a parallel system. So another web server hosting a different kind of website that you cannot see from this space, does not exist to you. You type in the URL for it, you don't go there. There's no route to it. What you have to have is something like a Tor browser. Originally created by the US Navy, that's interesting, right? So it was actually created for purposes of just encryption. And it's now being used by cyber criminals to sell their services because it's impenetrable, effectively. So we've got this almost parallel internet existing, which you can only access using specific methods. And you get to these places. It provides anonymity, that's the key for its creation. So all of these people that are buying things online, they're anonymous, it's encrypted, and they get the services they want. If you have been paying attention to the media, Silk Road, that might bring up some interest for you. You might remember that name. Silk Road was a website that you could go onto, and believe it or not, you could buy assassinations, you could buy drugs, you could buy weapons, and you know the modern world is just not ready for this. Some of these items Royal Mail would actually deliver to you because they weren't ready for this. Silk Road got shut down, but it has returned in many different guises. It's like torrenting and downloading music. You can't put that away. It's going to keep coming back. Somebody else is going to provide that service. So this is something that exists. One of the things that you can buy from this space is hacking tools, or people to go and do hacking for you. Sounds expensive. It's not. Oh, the screen's not coming up for some reason. Okay, well what that should say is I had a look on there and I got a list of all of the hackers for hire, and one of them was £141. £141 to go and take down a site. I mean, if you think about that in terms of your risk strategy for your organisation, that's unbelievable. £141 in most organisations is small change. And you can go and hire someone to go and take down their website for a set period of time. If they're a retail outlet, they're going to lose more than £141 when they're offline. Interestingly, I'm glad this one works, he even had reviews. It's like an Amazon shop. It's like an eBay marketplace.
He's professional.
And not only that, he's fairly successful. He's getting 5 stars every time. The last time he was active was 17th of June this year. It's incredible. So he's this is the kind of it's the kind of openness of this Tor network, is that people are able to advertise their services, get reviews for them, and continue to operate like a shop. That's effectively what this place is like. So that's kind of scared you in terms of what that looks like. So we'll just imagine, if we go back to our scenario, our user has gone to one of these sites, paid £141, and now the attack is on, right? So some of the other prices that I came across, here we go, £151 to rent a botnet. There's going to be a presentation from Bradware today. I'm sure they're going to mention this particular subject. A botnet is a collection of machines that have been taken over, and we're just going to fire a huge amount of traffic from them at one location. So it's a concentrated attack, like a magnifying glass on an app. $150, I should say. Hack social media account. We hear about that all the time. My Gmail's been attacked. Somebody's taken over my Facebook account and posted something silly on my timeline. $200, just nothing, absolutely nothing. Remote access Trojan. This is great. I want to get into your organization. You use a particular VPN client. Okay. $300, I'll give you access to that VPN client, and you can get in. And then when you get in, you get access to whatever that user usually gets access to. Could be an admin. Could be a CEO. And hack personal computer, you guys have seen this on the news. Ransomware, Alex mentioned it. We saw it maybe 9 months ago, came up all over the news. Downloading ransomware, encrypted your hard drive, you had to phone them up and pay them. They even had a call center. You phone them up, you give them your credit card details, and they will willingly unlock it because you just paid them. $200. Don't get any ideas, welcome. Okay, so we go back to our scenario. We got our attacker now, he's on the left-hand side. This is Ferrier. Normal scenario, there's our VPN concentrator. So you know, it could be a Cisco, it could be anything. You've got your employee laptop up here. Most organisations now have a mobility policy. Laptops go in and out of the organisation. They connect to various different Wi-Fi hotspots. You might have Office 365, you might use OA, you might have Outlook anytime. You know, you've got to access those things that allow you to keep working. So, our Hat President's to-do list. What is he going to do? What is he going to target? Well, first thing he wants to do is he wants to find out who is the weakest link in this organisation. What's the easiest way to do that? Social media, right? Because everybody, well, almost everybody in this room, we're a little bit more skeptical in this industry, but almost everybody in this room has a social media account somewhere, at least on LinkedIn, because we see that's the business version of social media. And we put details on there which give a lot of information about you that I wouldn't be able to find if I just Googled your name. But I go onto LinkedIn instead, and I now know where you work, what your position is, and probably how long you've worked there for. Got a lot of information out of that. Amar Singh, who was on the call with us, actually said that he received an invite on LinkedIn 3 weeks prior to our call from the CEO of Barclays. Wasn't the CEO of Barclays, someone just created a fake account. And they just wanted him to connect so that all that stuff that he hid and used his privacy settings were now available and that he could actually look at them. So just think about that. You know, I mean, how many people are on your friends lists and these social media platforms? And are they actually those people? That's an interesting question. Because I could just go on these sites now and create any kind of account I want. So, we found some weak link, and now what we're going to do is we're going to create a diversion. Because we don't want this guy to be suspicious as to what we're doing, or we don't want the IT team to know this is what we're doing. So, classic, we'll hire a botnet, we'll send a load of packets to our VPN solution, we'll bring it down. What happens? The company goes, oh my god, we've got 60% of our staff work remotely. We now got 60% of our workforce that can't work remotely, we're losing money. IT team, go over there and do that. And the whole IT team runs over to that side of the building, and they're no longer monitoring the systems that might be protecting Mr. Employee over here in the corner. Classic diversion, classic diversion. Happened in the Sony attack. They took off their website for days and days and days, and the IT team managed to hold out and said, no, we got to protect everything. And in the end, Sony said, listen guys, we make this much money from PlayStation a day, and right now we're making none.